Okay, but they include edge guys. Marist Liufau. Hope I said that right. Respect to you. University of Notre Dame, 6'2", 234 pounds, just clears it. I didn't get a lot of stats on him. He didn't have a lot of numbers. 44 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Here's what I can just pull out immediately. Comfortable in coverage and can play with bend. I put can in there because I think it's important when you watch. And the other thing, 4.64 40-yard dash isn't great, but 16 reps on the bench. Like I saw that and I went, I know receivers that beat 16 reps on the bench. So there's got to be a story behind that. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had a buddy, John Morandi, who played center at Notre Dame. We both went to Rim of the World High School. I went to the academy. John gets old man Lou Holtz to come to the school and recruit him. He's such a big time deal, right? We go to Lake Havasu at like the end of our sophomore or junior years. We're out partying, having a good time for spring break or summer. I can't remember. All the guys got back from high school. We're all hanging out. And John and I had been lifting together, and I was never as strong as he was until I got to college. And John's over there telling me how, because they were trying to recruit our strength coach, Phil Emery, who ended up being the general manager of the Bears. And John's telling me how they got him running cross country all the time. And now it's all starting to make sense. Maybe we got the same guy doing this here because 16 reps on the bench. I'm pretty sure I can still do that. And I'm old as hell with a bad shoulder. Let's check this guy out either way. First of all, real jealous of the haircut, as you can probably imagine. Handsome dude. Good in space. They line him up all over the field. He's the guy that goes out and plays man coverage on the running back. We'll see here. Just put it on there. I don't know if there's anything of note except for the fact they don't mind him being out there playing man. Really good timing in pass coverage. He's a really good rangy player. Now they walk him up here to be the tip of the spear when you're talking about this bunch formation or this diamond formation. Does a good job of attacking and staying with it, fight through. Ends up making the play. Now, we just call this beating the scheme, okay? And I don't know, somebody might show this on tape and go, oh, this guy did such a great job. Notre Dame knows this play is coming, right? Because he's already sitting up 2 yards off the line of scrimmage. They haven't done anything yet. They're going to pull. They're going to run the read. He's going to keep it, tracks him down, makes a good tackle, right? Love it, love it, love it. Still got to make the play, though, right, guys? Look at the range. I don't like how he bounces off here. You know, obviously, you want to have some awareness. I think he does a good job here of identifying the double crossers, getting behind the second one. As soon as he sees the first one, he looks behind him, sees the second one, backs up into him, so he doesn't have that. The quarterback doesn't have that throwing lane. Just a subtle thing, really good job. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the only reason it forced the pick, but it was certainly a part of it. Get involved, get involved. And this is my best hit of the tape, unfortunately, for this guy. Watch this. I love it. Okay. Love the body position here. And this is why I say he can play with Ben. He's a tall guy, but he can play low. You see it right here. Not a big part of the play, but you want to know that the guy can sit in the box and take on offensive linemen. You have to be able to play with a little bend to you. Now we're worked up here. We use them on the rush. They run like the little E linebacker game. Comes around, defeats the running back. Sticks with the play. Obviously, he's getting the secondary move on that sack. But again, they use him in different spots and spaces so you can kind of project in the National Football League the different things you can do with him. I see this as another guy where he's big enough, at least with a little bit of work. And, listen, he's got to get at least 10 pounds bigger in the chest. Quite frankly, he's going to take on NFL guards. But then he looks like the kind of frame that can develop into a linebacker that plays in the middle of the field. You got to get around here. You can't get pinned. And you see it. You got to see it. You got to go. And you got to have an answer for the guard or the tackle who's inevitably trying to wall you off. And this is maybe what I saw a little bit too much of when I watched this guy's tape. Custom 3D. No idea what that means. Well, I'll put it back up. So I think the bottom line for me, I really, really like the NC State kid. but injuries are a part of his story. I like the upside of the Michigan Colson. I think he's going to be a good pro. I don't really know how to value because I don't really care. I don't know how to value the 25th pick in the draft when it comes to linebackers. I'll just say this. Just purely from a value standpoint, I would say the NC State kid is as valuable to me as those three centers that I picked up: Zach Frazier, Jackson Powers Johnson, and Graham from Duke. Barton Graham, is that right? Barton Graham. Those three guys, I think, are 25th pick worthy. Maybe one of them is higher than the other. I think the NC State kid's 25 pick worthy. And again, I don't really know what that means. It just means I think he might be available. And if he was, I would be interested in taking him. But I don't know that the other guys aren't until day 2 or day 3. And that doesn't mean that they can't come in and contribute. I just think, I always think of like the first pick, maybe your second pick is like a really, really coveted pick. And you have to, you got to nail that one, and they got to show up and play immediately, especially that first pick in the draft. So that's where I'm at. I want to go to listener questions before I get out of here, because I had some good ones today. Since Good is retired, the Packers have had issue replacing long snapper. How significant is the position? Why do you believe? Okay, why do you lack of success in finding a replacement? I don't know why, because it doesn't seem like. It just seems like one of those things where if you're a smart dad, and your kid's like kind of athletic but not really, you go, hey, learn how to long snap. You can play for 20 years in the National Football League. Nobody ever does that because it's not romantic, but it's super smart. It is an important position because like Rob Davis was our guy for years, and you like probably nobody knew who he was because he doesn't make mistakes. So having a good one is invaluable. Certainly when you have problems is the only time you notice it. For me, it's not quite as hard as kicking the ball through, but I mean, snapping the ball on a cold day, or rainy, and it's punt or field goal, and it's like a critical game. The holder and the snapper are super important to me. Who do you think is the best middle linebacker in this class that fits the Packers? I think I just showed you the NC State kid. They're not going to pick him probably at that pick because of the double ACLs. But for me, size, speed, athleticism, everything, like ability to take on a block needs a little bit of work, but you did see some sunshine there. So I do like that. How do you feel about going into the year with Quay and McDuffie at linebacker? I'm not upset about it. I do think they need the third guy for the reasons I stated. Now, going to a 4-3 defense, I believe we use the ability of Gary and Smith, the outside linebacker pass rush. The assumption, of course, is that they're just, and I've said this for years, like you should put your hand in the ground anyways for most of these guys. I would say the majority, Van Ness for sure, of our draft picks recently would be much better off at the outside linebacker position with their hand in the ground because they're going to play with better leverage, get off the ball faster. That's just me. So I got no problem with what that is going to add to their game. I think the same. Rashawn Gary, I think he's going to be better with a hand in the ground, quite frankly, if they force him to do it. I could be wrong, but I can guarantee he's going to get off the ball faster. Does that put us in more nickel looks versus base 4-3? No, it's again, really what it comes down to is who that safety is versus who that linebacker is, what we just talked about. If you make Quay that guy, well, then you can do whatever you want, right? And conversely, Xavier McKinney, like we think he's going to be the post safety because that's what Hafley talked about, but he played star at Bama and he could very easily do that again. So he could be that guy. He's maybe a little bit, for me, he's undersized at that point. He's like 198 pounds. But he could be that guy as well. I mean, if that's the way you want to run your system. I did the thing on Junior Colson. With most linebackers in college only seeing a pro-style offense once a year, do you think if the learning curve for the new age linebackers, one of the steepest in position? We'll finish with that one. I absolutely do. It's funny. I think offensive line and linebacker are bastardized in college to the point where it almost feels like scouts and people are looking at the position and projecting based on like numbers, and that's it. Linebacker in particular, because some of these guys, like, what are the basic tenets of like playing linebacker? Well, getting off blocks, making tackles, then pass coverage for me would be third, and now it's 1A, and 1B, and then the other two are 2 and 3. So we talk about the range, like we did this when Quay came in. You talk about the range of Quay Walker, but you don't talk about the fact that he coming into the NFL from Georgia, he wasn't the best player at taking on a block. So he was making a ton of blocks 8 yards down the line, off the line of scrimmage. Like nobody talks about that until it starts affecting your team because, oh, they're just enamored with, oh, he's got such range. He's so fast. But the basic tenets of the positional requirements of the sport, I'm not sure that we're very good at those anymore. It's certainly not the level we were maybe 20, 30 years ago. I think the same thing about the offensive line position, maybe for different reasons. The offenses that we run in college, they want to, first of all, they don't have the headsets. They want to get it out fast. They want to make it as simple as possible because they want to use tempo to disrupt the defense, maybe more so than kind of some elaborate system and schemes. For no other reason than they can't signal it in because they don't have headsets, which is asinine because high school and pro both. So they're sandwiched between headsets, no headsets. Makes no sense. I think they're going to change it. But a lot of this is all predicated on how do we create the simplest expression of telling those guys what to do and then let everybody else kind of have their information. How can we do that in as efficient way as possible so we can just get more reps on all the timing throws and all the looks that we want and not have to like coach up the offensive line? And so you see a lot of guys coming in with bad technique, with bad football IQ, or it's just areas of opportunity. So I always look at it, you can look at it like I can sit here and shit on the younger generation. That's not really what I'm doing. What I'm really saying is if you get drafted by a team with a good coach, you're going to be a lot better than your buddies that got drafted by teams with bad coaches that didn't develop them. So, or if you go find a guy outside of football that really knows a lot about your position and can really help you improve, you're going to be a lot better off. You're going to make a lot more money. You're going to have more success than the guys who just stick around and learn what they're learning in the building. So these all are things that are opportunities for the people that look at it as such. That makes sense. Areas of opportunity. I just put it up because it was so important. All right, guys, that's the show for the week. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. Again, thanks you to the Believe Network for hosting this show. Thank you to Bet Online for sponsoring us. I am going to be back next week. I don't know what we're going to look at. If you guys got ideas, let me know. Hit me up, MikeWall68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. Check out the YouTube page, Process to Perform, for the Block Party Podcast. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.